The Love Hashira Mitsuri Kanroji is clearly best girl and top waifu in Demon Slayer. But did you know that she also has a tragic past and that she has some of the coolest and most unique powers out of any Hashira? By the end of this video, you will know everything you need to know about the waifu Hashira, what makes her so unique in terms of her powers and abilities, and why she is one of the most heroic and important characters in the story. There is so much essential Demon Slayer info in this video, so be sure to watch until the very end. You won't regret it. Mitsuri Kanroji is the Love Hashira, and she uses her own unique breathing style called love breathing. Love breathing is a derivative of flame breathing, and when she first joined the Demon Slayer Corps, Mitsuri was actually trained by the flame Hashira Kyojuro Rengoku. He is the one who taught her how to use breathing styles, and I'll talk more about that later, but first let's talk about how and why Mitsuri became a Demon Slayer in the first place. Mitsuri was born into a family of 5 children, and her family was close and they got along well. When Tanjiro asks her why she became a Hashira, she tells him that she did it so that she could find a man to marry. You might have been confused by this statement when you first heard it, but once we consider Mitsuri's backstory, it all starts to make sense. Ever since she was a child, Mitsuri was different from other people. She has naturally pink hair, which is apparently the result of her eating too much sakura mochi. But even though you might assume that that's just a gag that the author inserted into the story as lighthearted comedic relief, Mitsuri's hair color actually plays an important role in her backstory. Her hair color is so different from the norm that she stood out from everyone else. And because Taisho-era Japan was a highly traditionalist society where standing out was not a good thing, Mitsuri had a really tough time fitting in. On top of that, from a very young age, she ate a lot more than the average person, and she also became a lot stronger than the average person. In fact, her body itself is unique. It is much more flexible than a normal human body, and she has 8 times more muscle density than the average human. Because of this, Mitsuri has always been freakishly strong, and because she is a woman, her strength made her an outcast in the traditionalist society that she grew up in. It got so bad that her engagement was actually called off because she was considered to be too weird to marry. I am not kidding. At age 17, Mitsuri was engaged to be married, but the arrangement was called off when her husband-to-be decided that her hair color and strange physique were repulsive to him, and he didn't want her to pass those genes on to his future children. Let's just pause for a second to appreciate what her fiance did here. He rejected best girl Mitsuri because she was too strong and too flexible, and because she had cute pink hair. This dude is an absolute bozo, and this is easily one of the top 5 biggest L's in the history of anime. If you agree with that statement, drop a quick like right now for that YouTube algorithm, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you can be notified next time we publish a Demon Slayer video, and trust me, it's gonna be soon. Now, we can joke about Mitsuri's fiance being a massive bozo, and that is definitely what he is, but this rejection from her husband-to-be absolutely devastated Mitsuri. I mean, no one likes rejection, especially not when that rejection happened because of something you've been insecure about your entire life. But we have to remember that there's also a social aspect to this. Being rejected by her husband-to-be in such a traditionalist society would put Mitsuri and her family in a very difficult situation. People love to gossip, and if word gets around that Mitsuri was rejected by her fiancé, then other potential suitors will lose interest. If someone else rejected her, there must be something wrong with her, right? It's a stupid way of thinking, but that's just the way it was. So after her engagement was broken off, Mitsuri decided to make some serious changes. She started to change herself in order to fit in with the rest of society. And this includes both physical and personality changes. She dyed her pink hair black, she pretended to be weak and fragile, and she ate much less than she needed to so that people wouldn't be intimidated by her massive appetite. Because of this, she was often so malnourished that she would faint, and she was actively hurting her own health just to fit into that society's definition of what a proper woman and wife should be. And the changes worked. Mitsuri started to actually fit in with the rest of society, and potential suitors became interested in her again. But even though this is what Mitsuri thought she wanted, she just didn't feel like herself anymore. She felt like she wasn't being her true self, and that she was just living a lie in order to please other people. Luckily, Mitsuri eventually met Kagaya Ubuyashiki, the leader of the Demon Slayer Corps, and this encounter finally changed her life for the better. Instead of being freaked out by her unusual strength, ℂ𝕗𝑚 believed that Mitsuri's strength was a gift from God. Anyone who speaks ill of her incredible natural talents is just jealous, and there is nothing wrong with a girl who is strong. Mitsuri finally found true acceptance with ℂ𝕗𝑚 and the Demon Slayers, and she was finally able to be herself. Inside the Demon Slayer core, her strength wasn't something that was weird and looked down upon. It was actually a huge advantage, a blessing from God, and it allowed Mitsuri to become an excellent Demon Slayer. On top of that, Mitsuri's unique physical talents allowed her to fight demons and save the lives of innocent people, which is something that she never would have been able to do as effectively if her physique was normal and average. Her greatest insecurity suddenly became her biggest advantage, something that she didn't have to be ashamed of, but could actually be proud of. With all that said, Mitsuri's comment that she became a Demon Slayer in order to find a husband wasn't just a meme. Mitsuri really does want to find a husband, and she wants to find one who will not be intimidated by her strength. So she thought that becoming a Demon Slayer would allow her to meet many strong men, and hopefully she could one day marry one of them. However, things didn't go exactly as planned because Mitsuri was much stronger than the vast majority of Demon Slayers, and she quickly advanced to the rank of Hashira. As I mentioned earlier, Mitsuri was trained by Kyojuro Rengoku. She initially learned his flame-breathing style of swordsmanship, but she later modified it into her own custom style known as love breathing. Love breathing is unique because it takes full advantage of Mitsuri's special physique, including her superhuman flexibility and muscle density. There are extra chapters in the Demon Slayer manga called the Rengoku Gaiden chapters, and although these are separate from the main story, they are still considered canon. In the Rengoku Gaiden, we get a glimpse of Rengoku training Mitsuri, and we even see the moment Mitsuri gets her first official Demon Slayer uniform. Believe it or not, her uniform is a normal, regulation Demon Slayer uniform, at least for women. After Rengoku expresses his desire to become the next Flame Hashira, ℂ𝕗𝑚 gives him the opportunity to prove himself by defeating Lower Moon 2 Hairo, who has been threatening the capital city of Tokyo. Rengoku takes Mitsuri on this mission with him, and this is the first big mission that they go on together. The battle against Lower Moon 2 turns out to be an extremely valuable learning experience for Mitsuri, and she really learns a lot from Rengoku, and not only in terms of his fighting style. She also learns a lot about his character, and Rengoku inspires her to keep going and to keep doing her best as a Demon Slayer. In many ways, Rengoku was also an outcast, just like Mitsuri. He too has extremely unusual hair. His clothes are unconventional for the time period. He carries a sword everywhere he goes, even though that was not socially appropriate during the Taisho period, and so on. Because their mission takes them to Tokyo, which is full of people, Rengoku gets multiple comments about being strange and weird and scary. But he just brushes them off in stride and continues to smile and do his job. This inspires Mitsuri to follow in Rengoku's footsteps. It is during the fight against Lower Moon 2 Hairo that Mitsuri begins to develop her own unique breathing style, love breathing, which was, as I said, greatly inspired by Rengoku's flame breathing. Ultimately, Lower Moon 2 Hairo is destroyed by the burning determination of Rengoku, and as a result, Kyojuro replaces his father Shinjuro as the Flame Hashira. At the same time, Mitsuri realizes that with Kyojuro and the other Demon Slayers, she has finally found a place where she can be herself and where people accept her and appreciate her for who she really is. This allows her to tap into her full potential and rise to the rank of Hashira. Now, let's talk about all the incredible powers and abilities that Mitsuri possesses, many of which are completely unique to her and unmatched by anyone else in the series. As I alluded to earlier, she was born with a unique physique, including muscles that are 8 times denser than the muscles of a regular human. This gives her superhuman physical strength and endurance, and it allows her to deliver incredibly powerful attacks while also making her able to absorb a lot more damage than the average person. Mitsuri is also unbelievably flexible, and she incorporates this flexibility into her fighting style. Her combat technique uses challenging acrobatic maneuvers that most of her opponents simply aren't expecting, and the unique design of her special Nichiren blade makes her moves even more unconventional and unpredictable. Mitsuri's katana features a custom design that is completely different from the swords used by other Demon Slayers. Her sword blade is very long, thin, and flexible, and it functions more like a sharp whip than a sword. Its design and construction was so complex that it had to be done by the chief of the swordsmith village personally. And any other person who tries to use this sword would likely injure themselves horribly. But Mitsuri's unique body composition and flexibility allow her to use the whip-like katana without hurting herself. The unconventional design of her weapon makes it possible for Mitsuri to perform impressive acrobatic long-range moves that simply cannot be done with other swords. And with her sword, she is able to achieve speeds that even other extremely fast Hashira like Tengen Uzui are simply unable to achieve. Her whip-like Nichiren blade also allows Mitsuri to bring out the full potential of love breathing. As I said a few times, love breathing is derived from flame breathing, which is in turn derived from the original sun breathing. That said, love breathing is unique because it is based on the emotion of love rather than on some sort of natural element or substance. And it was developed around Mitsuri's very distinct fighting style, which incorporates her unconventional whip-like sword and her extraordinary bodily structure. Love breathing has 5 known forms, including first form, Shivers of Lost Love, an attack that involves a rapid dash followed by multiple long-range whip-like slashes. Second form, Love Pangs, which unleashes multiple whip-like slashes all around the user's body. Third form, Cat Love Shower, which involves the user leaping into the air and then releasing a rapid succession of ranged attacks. Fifth form, Swaying Love Wild Claw, which is a backward somersault through the air that creates a long string of whipping attacks. And sixth form, Cat-Legged Wings of Love, which involves the user twirling upside down and creating helix-shaped slashes that can deflect enemy attacks. There is also a fourth form, but it has not been revealed, so we don't know what it entails. By the way, Mitsuri is clearly a cat person, since a few of her forms have cat-themed names. Eventually, Mitsuri awakens the Demon Slayer Mark, a demon slayer who goes through an extremely tense and life-threatening situation that sees their heart rate increase to over 200 beats per minute and their body temperature go over 39 degrees Celsius and survives, will be able to unlock the Demon Slayer Mark. The Mark almost always appears after the user's been in contact with other Demon Slayers who have the Mark. Awakening the Mark acts as a major power boost for every Demon Slayer, significantly increasing their strength, speed, and endurance. But there's a catch. The increased power that comes with the Demon Slayer Mark comes at the cost of their lifespan. Every Demon Slayer who manifested the Mark dies before the age of 25, although there is one known exception, which was Yoriichi Tsugikuni. Yoriichi was the strongest Demon Slayer in history, and he was actually born with his Mark rather than awakening it later, and he was able to live well into his 80s. Okay, so now that you know Mitsuri's backstory and the full extent of her power, I will give you a spoiler warning. The rest of this video will spoil what happens in the final arcs of the story and what role Mitsuri plays in those arcs. So if that's something you don't want spoiled for yourself, you can click off the video right now. If you choose to stay, then please proceed with caution. You have been warned. Along with many of the other Hashira, Mitsuri plays an essential role in the final epic battle against Demon Daddy Muzan. After the Infinity Castle is destroyed, Muzan finds himself outside in the open. He is facing Giyu, Tanjiro, Mitsuri, and Iguro. They are eventually joined by others including Sanemi, Gyome, Inosuke, Zenitsu, Nezuko, and so on. Since Muzan would survive even if the Demon Slayers took his head, the sun is the only true method of defeating him. This means that the Demon Slayers have to hold out until dawn, and that will not be an easy task. At first, Muzan seems to be getting even stronger and faster as the battle advances, and the Hashira and other Demon Slayers are finding it impossible to keep up. Iguro sees that Mitsuri is not doing well. So, in an attempt to protect her, he hands her off to the lower-ranked Demon Slayers and tells them to take care of her while he returns to the battlefield. Mitsuri cries and says that she wants to go with him, but Iguro is determined to protect her. He wishes that the two of them had met under more normal circumstances, and it's clear that Iguro has strong feelings for Mitsuri. However, Iguro feels that he isn't worthy of Mitsuri because his bloodline is corrupt and impure. His family actually worshipped a female demon who had the body of a snake, and they had been feeding their own offspring to this demon as sacrifices. For his entire life, Iguro continued to carry the burden of his family's sins, and he had decided long ago that he wanted to die defeating Muzan in order to purify the filthy blood of his family. But if he were to one day be reborn as a normal human in a peaceful world without demons, he would finally confess his true feelings for Mitsuri. Despite being heavily outnumbered, Muzan continues to fight back fiercely, but due to the effects of Tamayo's poisons and all of his many injuries, his body is beginning to break down. Muzan suffers attack after attack from Tanjiro, Inosuke, and Zenitsu. Then the injured Mitsuri bravely returns to the battle. Iguro gets back into the battle, and everyone is fighting desperately because every second matters and the sun is just about to come up. As dawn finally breaks, Muzan turns into a giant baby-like creature in one final desperate attempt to escape the sun. But Sanemi and Gyome manage to keep him from escaping, and then as big baby Muzan tries to burrow underground, all the Hashira join together in an epic team attack, and in the end, big baby Muzan is finally destroyed by the sunlight. As Muzan perishes, Iguro is holding a dying Mitsuri in his arms. Mitsuri can feel that she is about to die, and Iguro says that he is dying too. Thankfully, Iguro is able to assure Mitsuri that their sacrifice was worthwhile. Thanks to their noble sacrifices, Muzan has finally been defeated. The two of them recall the first time they met, and they reminisce about all the good times they had together. Despite the fact that they were both considered abnormal by society, they made each other feel like they were both normal and there was nothing wrong with them. The two of them made each other happy, and Mitsuri asks Iguro if they are reborn as humans again in the next life, could she please be his bride? Iguro says yes, and he vows that next time around he will make sure that she is happy and he will protect her so she doesn't die young. The two of them then pass away together, holding each other in their arms. And as we learn in the final chapters of the story, Mitsuri and Iguro are in fact reborn into the modern world. They are now married, they have 5 children together, they own a diner, and they are very happy. I know that people love to meme on shonen for not having great female characters, but I think that Mitsuri turned out to be an excellent female character in the end. She is both strong and brave, while also being very feminine. She doesn't have to act like a man in order to project her strength. She also openly talks about wanting a husband and family, while still being a fierce fighter who risks her life to help others. Finally, even though she has many natural gifts and talents, for much of her life, those talents were more of a curse than a gift. She had a rough childhood. She dealt with rejection and insecurity, and she struggled to fit in. But in the end, she overcame these challenges with the help of her fellow demon slayers. She is powerful, but she also had to earn her success. So she's not a Mary Sue like so many of modern Hollywood's attempts at creating strong female characters. And that is why Mitsuri is such a memorable character, best girl, and true waifu material. Our boy Iguro is a lucky man. What do you guys think of Mitsuri's character? Let me know down below. And if you're looking for a video to watch next, don't ignore my video on Muichiro and his shocking family secret, link in the description and in the pinned comment. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more Demon Slayer content here on the channel, leave a quick like right now to let me know. And if you're new to Anime Uproar, or maybe you watch my videos but you haven't taken the time to subscribe yet, do me a big favor and make this the video that you subscribe and hit that notification bell to turn on all notifications.